Hello everyone, here's the most overpowered Rafa build for Ultimate Vault Hunter 6 in Borderlands 4 that can take on Bloomreaper the Invincible really quickly because we're able to shred down the crystals so quick using this Golden God, and a particular enhancement which lets you ricochet everything around, which you can see there is like absolutely just destroying every part of this boss, and that wasn't even fully optimal there, and you can see we actually cleared that out very fast. And then we're just going to warp our way around him, avoiding this beam just by circling around. And yeah, we're going to pepper him full of the bod here, because after you do that, you can just swap the underbarrel. And then it's going to just chip away his health bar really quickly, and then he does this another invincibility frame. This is a fun combination between the beaten, scraping Golden God here with the Jacob's License accessory and the Quicksilver enhancement, which whenever you have a full overheat, you get 100% critical hit chance, which turns this into an absolute beast. I would prefer not to have the fire on it, but that still works very well as you saw. And I didn't even maximize the Deadeye there to make this even quicker. But his Lascaris here is really useful because we regenerate our ammo, and it's a good chunk of it because it's using a Cov magazine, so you get it back very fast. And then we start shooting really quickly with all the different fire rate increases that we're going to be taking. And yeah, this build shreds everything in the game. And it actually is set up early on because of Bullet Buddy Deluxe. So at level 6, you're strong. So to start off at level 1, Deft Hands is great. If you're in the early game, City R is good because the gun damage increases, but we get plenty of that later on. We'll then take Bullet Buddy Deluxe. This is our best augment because it gives us infinite ammo, and that makes the bod, Chaosin, and Queen's Rest very powerful. We're then going to come over here and take Herga here. Whenever we critically hit an enemy, we get our increased action skill duration every 4 seconds that we can apply that, and it gives us 15%. The nice thing is we got infinite crits, so very good. And then like to take the Al Valiente, which increases our damage dealt the fuller our shields. Sometimes we'll have full shield, sometimes not, but then we're going to take 2 points of Maestro to increase our skill damage, which is going to apply to our Peacebreaker cannons. Now, I like to come down to the right-hand side. We're going to take, go down here, and we have infinite overdrive duration, so we're going to take Barrage here, increasing splash damage, which does apply to the rockets, and some other weapons if we go with something a bit different, like Wombo Combo. After that, we're going to take Temerario. This increases our gun damage per stack, and the problem is it offsets this by increasing or decreasing our gun handling. There's some abilities we'll take in the blue skill tree that'll actually offset this and make it easier for us to aim, so you don't have to worry about this, but in the mid-game, it may be a bit challenging. We'll then take our Capstone, the Volatile Hollow Points, which will give us rockets doing splash damage, again, getting increases. And there's some Repkits and stuff that'll increase the splash damage, so these can do decently respectable damage, and they're good against the Vile Crystals. But recently on the latest patch, we got Soldado now stacking and giving us 2 points if you got the class mod that's going to actually give us this. So look for a Dancer with a +1 to Soldado. It now works properly. Kill skill will increase all of our overdrive bonuses. This is crazy because there's a bunch of like vile crystal enemies we can shoot at to get this to proc really easily, and that stacks a lot of our abilities, which will then further go into here, and we're going to take the Thrill. If you have the Golden God, you can take Lascaris first, but the Thrill is going to increase our fire rate. This is just good on every gun, and the thing is, the overdrive, it's an overdrive skill, so this is going to get increases from our Soldado and any other thing that's going to increase our overdrive skills. This is going to scale really good in the DLC. This also gives us less Harris, which regenerate ammo when overdrive is active. Again, you guys got the idea why that's good. Using the Golden God, you can shoot infinitely. This takes us down to Al Centro. This is another overdrive skill, so this can scale up really well. This gives you gun handling per second. This actually, 5% per second, will offset almost what we lost from Temerario. If you didn't have the class mod giving us the +2 here, it would actually offset it perfectly, but it's okay to have that because after we take Al Centro, we're going to come down here to La Garza. So La Garza actually makes us, we get increased gun handling and action skill while our overdrive is active. And it's an overdrive skill, so you'd imagine we get 60% extra gun handling, and that's further increased by our Soldado, and the action skill handling doesn't apply to us. But we're then going to go down to the Deadline here. This gives us further increased fire rate and reload speed, although the fire rate's really the main thing we want because the faster we can shoot, the better we are. And as mentioned, we want to take the Dancer class mod here. This one has increased kinetic damage. That's why I said I'd rather not have a fire-based one. An action skill cooldown rate, which is nice because this allows us to get back into our action skill quickly. I do have rolls into the Thrill, further increasing our fire rate. That's actually a really nice one. You can also take Temerario for more gun damage increases, which can actually do some pretty crazy stuff because that scales up so high. And I have this class mod is 3 points into the sustainable energy, so this gives us health regeneration. That actually is pretty nuts too because it's an overdrive skill, but I would actually prefer to have more into the Thrill here and more points into Temerario. And for our class mod, the best one is the Watch for Dinner. If you can get one with the Amp and Drain, or Siphon and Drain, that's going to be the best because you'll get increased damage off on your attacks. But nonetheless, if you got an Overshield, you get 25% bonus shock damage, which is really good for just shredding down the enemy's shield. You could also go with the Timekeeper's new shield, I guess, if you wanted the health regeneration. And fireworks are okay here. There's also the super soldier, but it recently got nerfed, and I think the Watts for dinner is just the best choice, obviously, in most situations. Protein cell also for 40% bonus shock. Now, this is a big one. We need this enhancement. This, you probably picked up a couple because the Cov ones I find drop often. So this one will give a 100% chance to deal critical damage when overheating. And the Golden God is perfect for that. And this also gives us the Smelter. Guns with the Cov licensed magazines will get increased fire rate when over 50% heat. Again, further boosting our fire rate to shoot very fast. And that's how you can see so much damage coming out for this. Now, I would also recommend, if you don't have that, you could go with the Jacob's Bounce Pass enhancement and use the critical hit knife to kind of do it a little bit differently. But yeah, it's probably best to have the critical hit Cov one here when using the Golden God. I do have another build you can check out if you want to use just the Dark Beast, but this works on Dark Beast too. Well, then I like the critical hit knife. However, the waterfall grenades here are great, especially if you can get one that's going to do like this fire damage, because you can throw this down into the second phase and just chips away the boss's health a little bit quicker. Although the critical hit knife is kind of nice as well when you don't have your action skill up and you're just mobbing. I was hoping the new jet setter would be good, but it's not really that great. Scully got a buff though, so maybe we'll see buffs to that later on. Now, I like the speed triple bypass. We want the triple bypass for our specialization now with caffeine to get our action skill back. If you got one that's going to increase your overall damage, amp is okay. Leech will give you a good amount of survivability. And honestly, if you got ones that are going to increase your like rampage for damage dealt, that's great too. And for our weapons, now Dark Beast is really good too, but actually you can get a quicker clear with the Golden God. They're both good, but the Golden God with no elemental damage is probably the best choice, or maybe radiation. But yeah, Bullet Forge does not break, and whenever you get into the overheating, you're shooting off more bullets, but we're regenerating them so quickly. I guess you don't even want to use Bullet Buddy Deluxe most of the time. That's more so for, I guess, you don't really need it. And it does give bonus incendiary damage, which can be nice, but Instinto actually works well too. But it kind of depends what you want to get out of it. But also throwing on the Dark Beast and Bod are kind of like the three best weapons here. My personal favorite is TK's Wave. I think this is a really fun weapon, especially on this setup when you get shooting really quickly. You do have to have the Ripper and Jacobs to make this worthwhile using, but it can shred through, especially for just general mobbing. But honestly, the Bod, Chaosin, and Queen's Rest, as mentioned earlier, are going to be the best. This one's good because it gives 3% per pellet, and you shoot 5, so it's 15% extra damage every time you shoot. And you can also switch, if you wanted to switch your enhancements mid-game, you could go with the Gatherer one, which will increase your fire rate with the Bod, and it can give you 50% extra fire rate and increased damage, which is nuts on the Bod. That's probably the best. If you wanted to min-max it, you'd switch this midway through the fight and use the Bod only for phase 2 and the Golden God for phase 1. I guess this God and Bod really takes on this boss. It's the best setup. Now for specializations, I would recommend having the Now with Caffeine, because we need to get the action skill back for phase 2. And your action skill will end roughly whenever the boss out of its invulnerability phase, so then you can pop your 3 rep kits and get your action skill back, then continue blasting. You need to do this properly or else you'll end up missing this. Best defense is nice for 30% damage dealt when your health or shield is full. Then we also have really use this for 50% extra gun damage. And you can go with I Am a Gun to add the gun damage increases to our action skill, which is our Peacebreaker cannons. The nice thing is we actually get our gun damage up to 500%. So we're getting a 250% bonus onto our Peacebreaker cannons, which is crazy. I absolutely hate how the firmware works, so I typically don't do it. High caliber would be the best. Giving your piercing bullets will make this so much better. Like, it's a really strong one. And also Deadeye. You could actually go 3 Deadeye, 2 high caliber, or 3 high caliber, 2 Deadeye. Those would just be the best choices. This one will give you increased critical damage, which is nice because we get infinite crits. So honestly, the best, but it's annoying. There needs to be a change to the quality of life of firmware. And yeah, this weapon absolutely shreds when you're mobbing, because again, anything that's gotten crits infinitely is going to be good, especially when we can just regenerate our ammo. You see, they literally, if we get them in our mouse, they're dead instantly. It's kind of crazy. And here's another example of how quickly you just shred through everything in Ultimate Vault Hunter 6. Yeah, literally long range critical hits like that. It feels kind of silly with how fast you're just shredding through absolutely everything. And you can keep your action skill up pretty quickly too. That's the best part about this. And yeah, any type of boss, they're great because not only are you getting crits on the boss infinitely, I don't even have the Deadeye set up, but yeah, it's also those crits are going around bouncing to every enemy nearby. So yeah, you mob fast, you do everything fast. It's actually pretty nuts how powerful this setup is. The Golden God and Rafa tear through Bloomreaper the Invincible in Ultimate Vault Hunter 5. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit the subscribe button below if you enjoyed, and I hope you guys all have a great day.